Dr. G.L. Sharma, CEO Colonel Ajay Sood, and program chairs Dr. Shweta, Dr. Shivani, and Dr. Rajkumari to light ceremonial lamp and offer floral tributes to Shastri. I would like to request Sumit Dan, President Management Grid, to welcome our chief guest. Thank you, Sumit. May I now request our Director, Dr. D.K. Srivastava, to deliver the welcome address. Please.
A very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, it's my proud privilege to welcome Mr. Vinit Bajpayee, who is part of this institute, that is batch 1997-1999. So big round of applause for Mr. Vinit. Next year, or maybe by end of this year, we are going to celebrate Silver Jubilee of this institute because we started in 1995. So we have decided that this particular year would be dedicated to alumni of this institute, and invitation to Mr. Vinit Bajpayee is part of that decision. So I think it's honor to see our students coming up to this stage that where we need not to borrow from the other companies or from the outside the companies. Rather, now we have started making our own students who are coming up. Several students today are occupying the position at the CEO level, MD level, senior vice president within India and outside India. So that is a great achievement of an institute which was started in 1995, and now we have come to the stage that we are seeing our alumni in different parts of the world. So, friends, I welcome all of you, this new batch, PGDM batch 2019-21. You have come through a very, very rigorous process of the admission, and every day I get a lot of, this posts on social sites, including Pagal Guide 2019, that when wait list will come, where is the wait list? Somebody is saying, just like I have withdrawn, so one seat is there. I do not know who has withdrawn and who has not withdrawn, but we have very, very, this is the time where institute has come up on its own. So we are taking care of those who are posting on the social network sites and the movement and all these things, comparing this institute and on other institutes. I think Industry 4.0 is really relevant, has become relevant for India. So I would like to begin, because this institute is very different. Everybody is teaching you Harvard cases. Every institute is having a good faculty, a good infrastructure, air-conditioned rooms, this or that. But what makes your institute different to the others? The first thing is that the legacy of this institute, that you have 24 years, a very, very trusted legacy of this institute, from one program in a rented building to a building which was basically brought. This auditorium was brought with a generous grant given by the Mr. Narayan Murthy, the chairman of Infosys company. So, this institute has a legacy. This institute is different from the other institutes because we follow the legacy of the first Bharat Ratna of India. Probably you should know that the first Bharat Ratna of India was Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, our second Prime Minister of India, Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. And the legacy that is being carried by our Chairman, Board of Governors, Shri Anil Shastri ji, who could not come today because he is travelling. So, but he has conveyed his best wishes to the students. So the legacy of this institute. Only yesterday we had a Skype meeting and discussion with our mentor, Mr. Professor Sian Ferguson from AACSB, and we were telling him that how we are making a business leaders who are social sensitive, because no company can survive unless the company is sensitive to the social needs. So this institute, if you see, the mission of this institute is to nurture and groom socially sensitive business leaders with a global outlook, supported by strategic national and international partnership. So we groom and nurture the business leader. That the first point that you will have to remember, that your institute is different in the terms that we are making ourselves more social sensitive. Our students are trying to understand the social needs and working accordingly. Today on this inaugural function, I will not take much time. I will be talking to you at some other point of time, but I would like to highlight 2-3 major points which has come up on my desk. Basically, one is that your generation need to understand. You need to understand that this hiring policy or the recruitment policy of the companies is entirely different than what it was 5 years back. One of the articles published in Harvard Business Review in May-June 2019 issue, and the article is written by Peter Capelli, Professor, Wharton School, and I'm just quoting 3 lines from that book. That article is that majority of the people who took new job last year were not searching for one. Somebody came and got them. The companies are focusing on passive candidates and passive hiring. This is the ground reality. People are moving. People are hiring very slowly. That fighting, or maybe and this article says that many employers hire and they keep those hirings in reserves. Maybe that will be used in future. So the pattern of hiring is changing. The recruitment pattern is changing. There are passive candidates. There are the passive recruiters and passive candidates who identify amongst the employees that I want to hire this person or that person. So that is the first thing that you need to understand, that today hiring is happening based upon the requirements of the company. Not many times hiring is very passive. That is the first point I would like to mention, and we will discuss it in detail in some other time. The second article which appealed to me was MIT Sloan Management Review, Spring 2019, and I'm reading one article, 3 lines from one article, which was written by Professor W. Chan Kim, and it says it is a different thing that I'm telling to you. It says that it's time to dispel the myth that is innovation. The myth is that innovation must be disruptive. You must be hearing when in last 2-3 years there was a lot of discussion on VUCA. There was a lot of discussion on disruption. Let us disrupt. Now this article is challenging that for moving forward, disruption is not needed. It says that it's time to dispel the myth that innovation must be disruptive. Non-disruptive creation is an alternative path to growth. It means growth is innovation. Through innovation, you can be non-disruptive and you can still grow. And like that, this article basically says. And I have also done a study where PepsiCo plant in Naroda, Gujarat was closed within 10 days. And without, I have written an article, non-surgical closure of Naroda plant of Gujarat. So there are possibilities. There are possibilities. You need not to disrupt. You need not to be destructive. You need not to be offensive. You need not to see that everything is disturbed. Within the disturbance, within the disruption, you can still innovate and you can do better. So Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management is a place that provides you and trains you and grooms you to search for the opportunities which disturbs the ethos, which disturbs the environment very, very less, and we can do it. Finally, 2-3 advices that the values, we are value-based institute, so we follow a commitment, honesty and integrity, self-discipline, fairness and firmness, and collaborative spirit. These are the things. These are the things that means when you pass out from this institute, you must carry these values. And today, I would expect that Mr. Bajpayee would be able to tell you that how this legacy of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, how the values that I am sharing with you has helped him and other of his maybe friends who studied here in making themselves very different from the others. Finally, you need to, because it's very hot. I come from Mumbai, so it's raining there every time I get news that it's raining there. It has started raining, but it's Delhi. And it's very hot, 48, 47, 48, and you are coming from different parts of the country, so you will have to take care of your health and wellness. And your health is very important, so that you will have to be very, very careful. This campus is 80% air conditioned, but once you go outside, you may get an exposure, so you will have to take care of your health. That is very important, at least because there will be stress of the work, and so you will have to take care of it. That is one thing. Second thing is that when I joined as a director of this institute, I said that let us move from 3R to 4 Cs, and that I will elaborate some other day. But more important is that my students should be moving towards critical thinking. That is very important. Critical thinking is very important. And I have also introduced a research-based framework in this institute where research thesis at the end of 2 years is mandatory for you. You should go out from this institute with a dissertation, with a thesis in your hand, which will be research-based, so that is mandatory. I wish you all the best and thank you very much for choosing Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, and don't get any dissonance out of comparing what is your CAT score or this or that. Beniji would be able to tell you that it is not the CAT percentile, it is not the thing, it is what you deliver in your interview is more important for your placement rather than these kinds of comparisons. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Before we invite our chief guest for his inaugural address, let me briefly introduce him to the audience. Vineet Bajpai is a first-generation entrepreneur. At age 22, he started his company Magnan from a small shed. Today, Magnan is among the largest advertising groups in the subcontinent and part of the Fortune 200 Omnicom network. Vineet has led the global top 10 advertising agency TBWA as its India CEO. This made him perhaps the youngest ever CEO of a multinational advertising group in the country. He has won several entrepreneurial and corporate excellence awards, including the Asia Pacific Entrepreneurial Award 2013, the CNBC Mercedes-Benz Young Turks Award 2014, and the Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2016. He was recently listed by Business World among the 100 most influential people in India's digital ecosystem. Vineet's second company, Talent Track, is disrupting the media and entertainment industry in India. It is the fastest growing online hiring and content crowdsourcing platform for the US $21 billion sector. Vineet is also the founder of leading publishing house Tree Shade Books. Apart from being a corporate CEO and an entrepreneur par excellence, Vineet is also a national best-selling author with 6 books to his credit. He has written 3 best-selling management and inspirational books, Built from Scratch, The Street to the Highway, and The 30-Something CEO. His 3 fiction novels, Harappa, Curse of the Blood River, Pralay, The Great Deluge, and Kashi, Secret of Black Temple, are all national bestsellers. The books have won rich critical and literary acclaim. The Times of India has called Vineet India's new literary superstar. Vineet completed his BA Honours Economics from Hansraj College, Delhi University in 1997 and his PGDM from Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management in 1999. May I now request Mr. Bajpai to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Smita. Respected Director, Dr. Deepak Srivastav, Dr. GL Sharma, Colonel Sood, members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen. As you've already heard from the profile that was just read out by Smita, and so generously, thank you very much. I was sitting where you're sitting, not 5 years, not 10 years, not 15 years, but 22 years ago. So that should tell you 2 things. 1, that I am very old. And 2, that what an established institution you have joined today with such a rich legacy. And I think before we proceed, the first thing that we all need to do is together a round of applause for all of you for this fantastic achievement and for being a part of this institution. So let's do that. So I have a lot of fond memories, of being here. And before I say anything else, I must tell you this, that in the next 2 years, there are 2 things that you must do. One is, of course, focus a lot on your academic excellence, and I'm going to talk about that a little more. And second, find out what Dr. GL Sharma has for his diet. Because when I was here 22 years ago, he used to look the same. He used to be sitting at the same place. He used to be working 12 to 14 hours a day, and I see nothing has changed. So, sir, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, pray to God that you continue like this, go on and inspire us. And as you will soon discover, Dr. Sharma is also the force behind the excellent placement record that this institution has had for the last so many years. And that is also something that I'm going to speak to you about. But why I'm telling you this is because you really have to understand that the institution that you have joined is one of the best in the country. You need to pat your backs, you need to be delighted with yourselves, and you need to understand that you're going to embark upon a fantastic new journey and a whole new orbit in your career. So I think that is very, very important. I'm standing here in front of you today, but I must tell you that, like Dr. Srivastava was saying, the industry is now full of ex-LBSIM or LBSIM alumni who are doing fantastic, in the industry. My own batchmates and the leadership of the institution and the faculty might know, but my own batchmates, like I said, I'm standing here in front of you. My own batchmate, Monu Ratra, he's the CEO of India Bulls Housing. Gaurav Malik, who was one batch junior to me, he was the head of marketing for Daikin Air Conditioners in India. He's now in Australia, leading a very, very large region. Another batchmate of one year junior to me, Chirag Bajal. He is, I think, the P&L head for Carrier in India. And there are so many more. Deepthi, I think, sir, she is head of HR for a leading bank. And this is just names from my batch. So the institute has made an enormous dent in the industry, and that is something that we are all very, very proud of. Like Dr. Srivastava said, there is something different about this institution, and I think that is something that you will appreciate as you spend more time here. Of course, it's an institution of excellence. Of course, there is going to be world-class management education in this institution, and you will find that out very soon. But there is something more that this institution teaches, and that is something which I have not been able to forget for over all these years, and I can say that for all people who pass out of LBSIM. And then one or two things that this institution will give you, and you will not even feel it coming. When you pass out 2 years later, you will find that addition to your personality. And I can say those few things are sincerity, honesty, integrity, humility. And today these may sound like some good value adds to the personality, but you will be amazed how much impact this makes in the corporate sector. Today when we are in the industry and people speak about students of LBSIM, what I tell them is that what I can assure you, what I can guarantee you is that of course the student is going to have a solid academic underpinning in management, but the student will have sincerity, the student will have humility, the student will be honest and very, very high integrity, and that is something this institution is going to teach you as you spend those 2 years. And when I passed out many years later, my father actually read out a shloka to me once, and I remember that. And when I heard that, I felt that it is something that applies to the culture of LBSIM and the kind of students LBSIM tries to create. And that shloka is very simple. It basically says, Vidya dadati vinayam, vinaya dhyati patratam, patrata dharmapnoti, dhana dharma tato sukham. Which basically means Vidya dadati vinayam. The first thing, like I said, we had a round of applause for all of you, but the first thing this great institution and your education should bring to you is vinay, is humility. Vidya dadati vinayam. Good education should always give you humility. Vinaya dhyati patratam. Patratam means, and that humility will make you worthy of great success. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinaya dhyati patratam, patratam dharmapnoti. When you become worthy, you start making money. Dhan ki prapti hoti hai aapko. And then dhana dharma tato sukham. And then when you use that money for good causes, for social causes, that is when you get true happiness. And I think the foundation of a life, which is very, very true to this shloka, starts from LBSIM. Now let me come to, you're all very, very fresh minds, and I've spent more than 20 years in the industry. So I think there's a big yawning gap that we need to cover. But what I will try and do is I will just try and share 3 or 4 points that I feel are important for all of you at your stage, and what you should keep in mind as you progress. The first is, do not underestimate academic excellence. Do not underestimate academic excellence. Today, wherever I am so grateful to God, and I think I'm blessed beyond millions of people are, But the one thing I truly regret, and Dr. Sharma sir, it is truly a regret. Today I ask myself, why did I not top LBSIM when I was here? I really have that regret. I feel today that I had all the intelligence that was needed. We had all the infrastructure, everything. Why did I let anybody else get better marks than I did? And of course, my mind at that time was involved in many other things, which normally young people do get involved in. But I really feel that, academic excellence is something which will be with you for the rest of your life and nobody can take it away from you. Use these 2 years. It's an opportunity for you to grow and to nurture your intellect, to nurture your inner abilities. It is priceless 2 years gifted to you by the education system of this country. Today, I thirst to be able to spend some academic time. So many institutions of excellence. Last month, I was invited by IIT Kanpur to speak. About 3 months ago, I was invited by IIM Bangalore. I turned down all those invitations because my schedule doesn't permit me to go. But I really, really feel that, I would love to come and spend some time with the faculty here, with the faculty of all those institutions that invite me, but time doesn't permit. You have that time. Use these 2 years to the hilt. Also, when I say academic excellence, I do not just mean rote education. What I also mean by academic excellence is excellence in everything that makes you employment worthy. That makes you worthy, that sets you up for success in your coming future. So some of you will be very, very good academically. I've heard 60% of you are engineers. So, it's fantastic. And some of you would have great personalities. And like we say in the industry, there are these people who are talkers, and then there are these people who are doers. Talkers are the people who are very slick, very smart. They come across very smart in front of you, and they look street smart and all of that. But they're not really doers, and in 3 months you figure out that they don't really execute things. And then there are the doers, who will probably be subdued, the underdogs, the workhorses, who have the real ability to drive projects and execute hard drill work. None of the two succeed. The people who really succeed are talkers who do. Not talkers alone, not doers alone, but talkers who do. And what I'm trying to tell you is that in these 2 years, you have to develop both elements of your personality. The first is your real ability to shoulder hard work, real execution. And some of you would be very good at it already. So for those of you, you need to work on your personality, on your communication, on the way you look, on the way you present yourself. Some of the others who would probably be from the metros would be, very smart and very polished already. You have to understand that you will be competing with those workhorses when you join the industry. So use these 2 years. Academic excellence is priceless. Your personality development, your education, all of that. The second point that I want to share with you, and I will just take 10 minutes. I don't want to bore you, on your first day. I'm sure you want to meet each other and make groups and friends and all of that. But the second point that I really, really want to speak to you about is, what are you here for? I want to ask you. Are you here for a good education and foundation for a solid career? Or do you think this is a window to a job? The point is that most of us join these courses with the desire to get that job. And I am here to insist and to urge and to push you to start thinking differently. Why is being a job seeker the ultimate goal that you have in your mind? Why is it not to be a job provider? And I'll be very honest with you, when I was here, I'm from a middle class family. My father was in the Indian Air Force. When I passed out of LBSIM and I decided that I'm going to start my own company, my mom was both afraid and embarrassed. She was afraid because she thought, ab pata nahi iska kya hoga? And she was embarrassed because she said, log sochenge aur koi job mila nahi to isko ye karna pada. And I totally understand that a lot of you might be from similar middle-class families who have great expectations that you're going to get out of your MBA and quickly get a job at a bank which is stable, or get the big names like the HDFCs and Accentures and Philips and Gillettes on your resume. So first of all, let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. But you also have to ask yourself, what is it that your real career ambition is? There are two ways in which you can plan or you can envision your career. The first is, and please mark my words when I say this, I don't know which of the two is right. You have to ask yourself. The first is when you're looking at an above average life, or maybe a good life, or maybe a very good life, where you're saying, let me get a good job, okay, maybe I start on a package of 10 lakh rupees, I think it'll be awesome. If I start at 12, even better. If I start at 15, बहुत ही अच्छा हो जाएगा. And then by the time, I've spent a year in my job, I'll buy my first car. By the time I'm 30, I'll buy my first house. By the time I'm 40, I'll buy my second house. By the time I'm 50, I'll be preparing for my retirement. And at whatever, 55, 60, I will hang my boots. I'll have a couple of crore rupees in my account. I'll have 2 or 3 houses. I'll have a couple of cars. And that's what my life is. There is nothing wrong with this vision. A lot of people want this in their lives. And if this is what you want in your life, great. The path to try and get a job with a big established company is fine. But are you okay with it? Are all of you okay with this? And this is something that I always question when I go out and I have conversations with people, with younger people, with my own friends. I always ask this question, what are we aiming for? Are we aiming for basic comfort lives with mediocrity? Or are we aiming for greatness? And here I would urge all of you to aim for greatness. And no greatness has ever come by following a conventional, obsolete, walked upon a million times path. Today, everyone that we speak about, every newspaper that you read, every business magazine, from Elon Musk in the US to Sachin and Binny Bansal here in India, from the Zomatos to the Ubers, all of them invariably are entrepreneurs. Most of us, we read about them, we get delighted about them, and then the next thought is, मुझे Flipkart में job मिल जाए. हम ये क्यों नहीं सोचते कि मैं भी Flipkart बनाऊं? And this is what you guys have to keep in mind. This is something that, hopefully over the next 2 years, if I'm able to take up the time and the institution is kind enough to invite me again, we may have more conversations about this. But use the next 2 years to educate yourself, to prepare yourself for the industry, but do not shut the doors of your mind to the option of becoming job providers instead of job seekers. And all of you, most of you would be over here, some of the engineers would have done a couple of years of jobs, so they would have got a little money put away in their banks and they are paying for their education themselves. A lot of you, your parents would be paying for your education, yes? Yes? Right? If they can pay for your education for 3 years or 4 years in your graduation, then 2 years in your MBA, what is your rush to quickly try and find that safe ticket monthly salary job? Right now in India is perhaps the most vibrant economy to nurture startups. There is no dearth of technology, there is no dearth of human talent, there is no dearth of capital, and fantastic success stories are being created. And there's also this mindset, a lot of people feel that what do you need to become an entrepreneur? You need to be either a Harvard dropout, or you need to have some bleeding edge technology idea, or maybe some money in legacy. But that's not true. All right, some of the biggest, success stories that we've seen, whether it's Flipkart or whether it's Zomato or whether it's, so many others, the Swiggies of the world, they are all technology based. But do you know, just about a month ago, I was reading the case study of a company called Wow Momos. And they have reached a valuation of 200 crore in a span of 2.5 years. And they are just setting up stalls as big as this dais in various retail malls. and they've reached a valuation of 200 crore by selling branded momos. Where is the technology? Where is the Harvard? Where is the millions of dollars of capital? It's just pure enterprise. Many, many years ago, I think it was back in 2008 or 9, I came to the institute, and I was speaking to a batch of students. And at that time, I encouraged students to turn entrepreneurs, and I was speaking to the second year batch. And Dr. Sharma might remember, I told them that I will be your first investor. If you have an idea in your mind, if you have a business plan in your mind, come to me. If we like the idea, I will invest the first 25 lakh rupees into your business, and then I will help you raise more money, and we'll build the company together. When I left the hall, I was surrounded by students, all of them buzzing with energy. And I felt, okay, I'm going to get 30 business plans, by next week. Do you know how many I got? 1. And that person also, when I actually met him, he came and said, I'm picking up my job and I'll do this business in the evenings. And that is where we go wrong. The kind of value creation, the kind of wealth creation that will happen when you take the entrepreneurial route can never be matched by a standard corporate career. Like I said right at the beginning, I don't know. I'm not here to tell you which one is right or which one is wrong. I'm here to ask you to ask yourself, how is it that you envision your career? Mediocrity or above average career or greatness? I'll tell you something silly. When I was in LBSIM, and I remember sitting in the class one day, and today it will sound so arrogant and so stupid, and I admit myself it was pretty stupid, but it's something I'm trying to share with you to convey what kind of a mindset I was in. And I was sitting in the class one day, and then it was a class full of 60, 70 people, and like I said, they were all fantastic people. And I took some of the names of how well they are doing. But do you know what I told myself one day? I told myself I don't have to make more money or create more value than each one of these people. I have to make more money than all of them taken together. This is what my mind was working like when I was 20. What is your mind working like? And somebody in this class, in this auditorium, 1 or 2 people, I guarantee you, are destined for greatness. And those 1 or 2 people are going to be people who are going to take the less treaded upon path. Now you have to ask yourself, are you amongst those 1 or 2? So this was the second thing that I wanted to speak to you about. The third thing is enterprise. I was speaking many years ago. I think at that time I used to speak at a lot of MBA institutions. And I was speaking at an institute called IILM, I think, somewhere near Lodi Road. And it was a big auditorium full of students, and I said something. And I said in my address, I said, and in today's industry, hard work, commitment, dedication also are not enough, and something I said. When my speech ended, one of the students got up and said, excuse me, sir, huge problem. I said, what? He said, in your speech, you said, in today's industry, hard work, commitment, dedication are not enough. He said, sir, if hard work and commitment and dedication, even these are not enough, what do we need? And I love that question. And I yelled out the answer in one word, and that answer was enterprise. What a lot of us from, especially from middle class families, which are totally focused on academics, totally focused on getting our first jobs after our MBA, courses and all that, what we really tend to miss out on is enterprise. And what is enterprise? Enterprise is not about changing the world overnight or coming up with an idea which is so transformational that you've created another internet. No, enterprise is a smarter, slicker way of doing the same thing differently. Let me give you an example, and this is something that I've spoken about in one of my books called The 30-something CEO. And like Smita very kindly introduced when she said that I was the youngest CEO of a multinational advertising network in the country. And when that happened, my publisher, today I have my own publishing house, but at that time I was working with a publisher called Jayco. And my publisher said, Vineet, you're 35 and you've become the CEO of TBWA. You have to write about it. And I love the idea, which is why the title of the book, The 30-something CEO. We all dream to be that. That we'll start, and by the time we pass out, we'll do a job for 4 or 5 years, then become a vice president by the time I'm 29, and by the time I'm in my mid-30s, I might just crack it and be a CEO. Do a lot of you want that? No?
Yes.
So, which is where the publisher said that, please write about it. What is it that you did differently that permitted you to become a 30-something CEO? And it compelled me to think. And when I thought about it, I'll just share, of course, there's a whole book on it, so, I can't really talk about it, all of it right now. Just to let you know, my colleague Sharath has got 5 copies of one of my national bestseller books called Harappa as a gift for the library, so you all can read it when you like. So coming back to the book, there is one incident that I have, or one episode that I have spoken about in that book. How do you think it happened? How do you think I was able to, at 35, be the CEO of TBWA, when all other multinational advertising agencies of the country, their CEOs were 50 and above? It happened because of an enterprising way of career management. So let me tell you, suppose you pass out of your MBA and then you join a top 10 or a top 15 advertising agency. Do you know how many years it will take you to be the CEO under normal circumstances? Probably 30. But it was different with me because I did not join an advertising agency. When I passed out of MBA, I got my first job with GE. I spent 6 months over there, but the entrepreneurial bug was in my mind. And I started my company Magnon with 14,000 rupees in my pocket, which I had saved from my job in GE. And from a small shed on the terrace of a building in Lajpat Nagar. And my first business was, and I kid you not, to make websites for small shops. And we used to charge 4,000, 5,000 rupees for a website. And like Smita mentioned, that same company, Magnon, today is one of the largest advertising groups in South Asia. It's the 6th largest advertising agency in India. But do you know how that journey happened? That journey happened because we started small, but the one thing we were very clear of was that we knew we are operating in the right space. The internet had just become a very, very important commodity or a very important platform for business. And we knew, of course, today we are a whole advertising conglomerate, so we do advertising and digital and content and a lot of things. But at that time we started digital, and the one thing we were certain of was that businesses may come and go, the internet is here to stay. We stuck to our guns, we kept building the company slowly and steadily in the pure guts and glory way, brick by brick. From 2000 to 2012, we just kept our heads down and we just kept building the company. In the year 2012, 3 of the world's largest communications and advertising conglomerates, WPP, IPG and Omnicom, 3 of them bid to buy us. And of course, Omnicom won, and Omnicom bought my 74% stake in my company. Even today, Omnicom owns 74% and I own 26%. And that was Omnicom's largest ever digital acquisition anywhere in the world. And in 2012, that happened. And by 2014, I was made the CEO of the TBW India Group. So in a span of 14 years or 13 years, I was able to cover a journey which would have taken 33. My sole reason of sharing this story with you is not to blow my own trumpet. There's nothing for me to gain doing that. It's my sole objective of sharing this with you is for you to start thinking differently. For you, it's a little early. I would suggest that you spend your first year in pure pursuit of academic excellence. All of you should really, really try to give your best, and your first year should be pure, solid academics. Then your summer training will start. Start thinking enterprisingly during your summer training. Don't chase the HDFC Bank. Don't chase the Accenture. Don't chase the big names. Go work for a startup. Do your training in a smaller company. See how smaller companies build themselves from within. See the hard work that is required. See the enterprise that is required. See how in limited resources great things are achieved. Then come back in your second year and then start thinking. And I think after everything that I've said, if in this room even one successful, brilliant entrepreneur comes out, I would think my effort of today was successful. So, like I said, I won't take too much of your time. Congratulations to all of you once again. It's a pleasure to be back here, and thank you so much for inviting me, sir. And I wish you a fantastic 2 years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring words. I would request the audience if anybody would like to ask any question to Mr. Bajpai. I think we can have a few questions. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Sir, as you said that you don't need to have something unique to create to start a business, just like Wow Momos. But your business Magnum was started in days when internet was just bustling out. It was so new. Of course, you worked tremendously hard for 14 years to make Magnum that successful. But wasn't the new bustling out of internet one of the main factors that contributed to Magnum becoming so successful?
See, what I was saying was that you do not need a path-breaking or a groundbreaking technology innovation to do something like that. For any successful business, the presence of an opportunity is very, very important, right? So whether you are opening a shop of Chola Bhatura in a new Dwarka society which has no eateries around, or you are starting a digital agency when the internet is starting, the market opportunity has to exist. What I was saying, so it's coming back to the same Wow Momos example, right? If you look at it in a way, there was really no opportunity. Momos to har jagah bikte hai, right? But what they identified was that there is a gap because momos are either in expensive restaurants, where they are called dim sums, or they are on the thelas. There wasn't a middle, kind of a branded momos opportunity. So momos are not innovating. The retail outlet that they were moving around with wasn't an innovation. The innovation itself was the identification of the market opportunity. So for any business to thrive, a market opportunity is important. And that is different from a path-breaking tech innovation.
But the cases of Wow Momos are very rare. The cases like Wow Momos are extremely rare in the market.
And you are saying how?
I don't know anything about
No, that's what you think. Most businesses that you see around you, right? Whether they are shops and showrooms or chains of restaurants or health clubs or, there are so many businesses which are non-tech and they are thriving. I know of real estate companies which are first generation entrepreneur led and today they are, their revenue is in hundreds of crores. So there are ample number of examples around. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. So, sir, basically, can we conclude that enterprising is basically being aware of your surroundings and capitalizing on the market opportunities at the right time? Like, as you mentioned, 15 years back, internet was the new upcoming thing. So, if you look at today's times, say artificial intelligence or robotics, that's the new upcoming thing where we can see it could be the upcoming boom in, say, next 15 to 20 years. So, should we constantly keep our eyes and investment on such upcoming opportunities? Is that what enterprising is mainly about?
See, that is one of the elements of being enterprising. Right. Being enterprising could be the way you do your next project that you get at LBSIM. So being, like you said, being aware of your environment, being well educated about what is happening around you, what new technologies are hitting us, I think that is in any case a very important thing for anybody who's getting into management education to do. But what is important to understand is that enterprise is not really connected only to technology or only to your surroundings or only to enterprise can be anything, right? There could be, the next summer training that you go for. Let me give you an example. When we were in the institute, one of my classmates, he was in years much senior to me. He was an engineer and he had worked for 4-5 years. His name is Vivek Chandra, a very good friend of mine. And when we were all here and we were all dependent on the institute to find a job, he found a summer training in Ranbaxy. And once he finished his summer training, we used to see that despite his summer training getting over, he used to still go to Ranbaxy every 10 days. And we used to ask him, "Yaar, tum karne kya jate ho? Project to khatam ho gaya." But he had very smartly submitted a project which required some input from him continuously even after that project was over. So while the rest of us, I did my summer training in Philips and we completed our projects and submitted them and forgot about that company, Vivek Chandra continued to work with his mentors at Ranbaxy. He was a person who did not depend on the institute for a job and he cracked the highest paid job of that year from Ranbaxy by the end of the year. That is enterprise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can take one more question.
So, I would not like to ask a very brilliant or great question. I just want to ask, sir, what is that one mantra which let you keep going in your downfalls, or which gave you at the kickstart when you were thinking about this, getting into this thing? Because we are I'm not at a state, to, build or something like that. But at this point, I just want to know that one thing which kicked you, which told you that yes, you have to keep moving, you have to go on.
I think that's a very brilliant question. And the important thing here is, so let me just answer, you said one word, right? There is a word I've used in one of my books which is called Antaragni, which basically means the fire within. Like I said, it is, and I'm trying to say this in the most non-pompous way, but I think it is an insatiable desire or thirst for greatness. I'll give you an example. When my first transaction happened and when Omnicom bought a big stake in my company, of course that meant a lot of money for me. And it was in the Economic Times and Brand Equity did a story and all of that happened. In 6 months after that, because my contract with Omnicom permitted me to do other things as well, I was trying to build another company called Talent Track. And I met a venture capital company called Springboard. It is the venture capital fund of the Times of India group. So I met a gentleman called Rajesh Sharma, very, very capable, very smart man. And I sat with him and I told him all about Talent Track. And once the official meeting was over, he said, let's go out, let's have a cup of tea together. And when we went out, he asked me, he says, Vineet, very honestly, your business plan looks great and, great to see the potential of Talent Track. He says, but Vineet, you should be on a beach right now. He says, you don't need this. You're again here with a business plan. 6 months ago, we read about your company. You should, buy a big villa on an island somewhere and just spend your days there. Why are you here? And to him, I couldn't say Antaragni. To you, I can. But that's what I just told him. I said, I think that's the hunger quotient. Everybody has a different hunger quotient. I really, really don't want to stop. So I think that's my answer.
Basically, not having a comfortable zone in your life.
Basically, not being happy with an achievement. Of course, being happy, like George should be happy that you've entered such a great institution. But if you start resting on this laurel, do you think it's going to serve you any purpose? So pat your back, take a breather, know that you've done well, but then planning your next goal. So I think that's what has worked for me. I hope it works for you too.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, कैसे सर आप?
बहुत बढ़िया, थैंक यू।
सर मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था। इट्स अ नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन। फॉर एग्जांपल सर, आप एंटरप्रेन्योर हो तो आपको कोई ऐसा आइडिया आता है जिससे कि काफ़ी लोग अनएम्प्लॉयड हो जाएंगे अगर आपने वो आइडिया एग्जीक्यूट किया और वो सही भी हो गया और यू कैन मेक अ लॉट ऑफ मनी आउट ऑफ इट। तो सर आप क्या करेंगे, आप आइडिया करना चाहेंगे वो कि जिससे कि बहुत सारे लोग अनएम्प्लॉयड भी हो सकते हैं, तो सर आपकी क्या सजेशंस हैं, क्योंकि आप बताएं सर।
एक मूवी है, आप देखिएगा, आई रोबोट नाम की। तो उसमें there is a line where somebody asks a similar question to an entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur turns around and says, "Oh, so you are one of those people who says the internet should not be functioning because librarians are going to lose jobs." Right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that, first of all, what you have said is it's hard for anybody to say what is going to be good or bad for for the economy in the long run. So for example, yes, when the internet would have started, for example, it did take a big hit on the book trade. It took a big hit, on libraries. But look what the internet has done today. Most of you are tomorrow going to be employed in an industry which has got something to do with technology. So first of all, why I'm unable to answer your question is because it is hard for anybody to say that if I do this, people are going to lose jobs. If I do this, a new innovation is going to come. And that innovation can lead to God knows what. Read a book called The Accidental Billionaires. It is the story about Facebook and Google, and it simply says that the founders of these companies, when they started out, they did not know they are going to become billion-dollar companies. Google did not know that one day it's going to employ more than 100,000 people world over. They were just thinking that, we are making this search engine and it's going to be better than using yellow pages. So the impact of innovation, impact of technology, how much it's going to be, where it's going to be, it's too hard to say. At the end of the day, I really feel personally, it's a very controversial topic, but I personally feel that capitalism is the answer and not the other model.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you.
May I now request Director Dr. D.K. Srivastava to present a memento to our Chief Guest as a mark of gratitude. Thank you, sir. I would like to request Dr. G.L. Sharma to deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of LBSIM fraternity.
Mr. Vinny, Director Srivastava, Smita and CEO, and of the faculty and students of the first batch. Also, some students of second year are available, and some students of PG executive are also there. You have heard Vinit Vajpayee. Smita and myself were keen to invite Vinit at any cost. Any cost means if the change of the time, change of the day, doesn't matter. We sent a mail to him and he was kind enough send a message that accept the time, I am ready to come to talk to the students. And we changed the time. What exactly we have in mind that we wanted to tell the new batch of 300 plus students to see what kind of students, what kind of entrepreneur, what kind of business leader LBSIM produce when we're working in the rented building. Nandi knows library was in basement, computer center was also in basement. There were only few rooms. That's all. But one important factor was that since it is the name of Lal Bahadur Shastri, so let's follow his legacy. And the first point was, let's have hard work. And Dr. Yadav was the first director, and the great first grade has created a template and put on the door of the gate, if you are 5 minutes late, don't disturb. That was the great decision. If you are late for 5 minutes, don't disturb. Means automatically nobody will come if you are late for 5 minutes, more than 5 minutes. Grid also decided that let's have a kind of debate, that this would be the grid's function, and grid will also contribute to a new concept known as Bahadur Lalita Shastri Award for Sports. Vineet was one of them. He was a member of the team, placement team. I know not a single day I worked with any company. Right from my graduation or PG or PhD, I didn't see a single day work in any company. I didn't. But experience tells, and young boys and girls are around you, then you have to learn accordingly. That means Vineet Vajpayee's definition enterprise. So you have to work according to this situation. If you don't take into consideration situation, then you are nowhere. So you have heard him from the horse's mouth, what Vineet has done so far, what his mind next. To me, the greatest satisfaction to a teacher is when a student excels. And today, I'm really very happy because whenever Vineet organizes some function in Delhi, invariably I visit to see how the boy is growing. That's my objective. And if at all something goes wrong, I tell him, Vineet, ये ठीक नहीं है. One of the functions that I attended, his wife was also there. His wife, probably 1 hour or 1.5 hours, we had lunch and all that, and then I told her कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए, कैसर इनको कहिए. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं विनीत को कहता, and I told Vineet कि ये ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Because if I don't tell him, then I'm not acting as a real teacher. Because I have to tell him you are going wrong way. Money definitely never was the objective of Vineet. I know the day he was in first year, and being students of economics, that's more important. Because economics students knows the surrounding better than engineers. Economics students knows that how economy moves, how money moves. And that, to my mind, economics background to Vineet has helped very greatly. And he is right when he says the first year, you should devote maximum time to your classroom, your project. And at the same time, also take into consideration what is happening outside world. Because you are not cut for MBA only. We know what opportunities you get and you go at the top. So you have to be very careful. One of my regrets, I say, has been that I have not found a few students taking social cause, poverty, illiteracy, backwardness in any form, taking serious. They have money, a lot of money, because I know 2, 3 Vineet senior billionaires. And I talked to them, he said, sir, वो आप समर्थन का भेज दीजिए, प्लेस कन्वर्ट का दे दीजिए, लेकिन ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. That means, to my mind, from the day one, 1 or 2 points I will tell you, have a positive thinking. At no cost, you should adopt a negative thinking. and positive thinking to my mind, not of Mishra's psychology definition. My simple definition of positive is have a patience, have a tolerance, and have some kind of sacrifice. And when I say sacrifice, mean to help others. Now that is Lal Bahadur Shastri's religion. That is, if you study Lal Bahadur Shastri, you will find patience, tolerance, and if he doesn't have them, he will sacrifice anything. There was no need to tender resignation. In 1953, probably, rail accident took place in Tamil Nadu. There was no reason that 1500 kilometers away, and the railway minister resigned. But he felt that something has gone wrong under his leadership. So that was sacrifice. That was sacrifice. So students from Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, as Dr. Srivastava told you, we will be celebrating 25th year of celebration immediately, and will organize a number of functions. You have to take active participation. But at the same time, as Vinit told you, there are few students वो अपने आप को तो ठीक रखते हैं, लेकिन दूसरों को डिसीव करते हैं. योर राइट और लेफ्ट अपने आप को सेफ रखते हैं, आपको डिसीव करेंगे, आपको रॉन्ग एडवाइस देंगे. ये प्लेसमेंट ठीक नहीं हुआ, ये लिस्टिंग ठीक नहीं हुआ, ये टीचर ने आपको प्रॉपर मार्किंग नहीं दिया, ये प्रॉपर नहीं किया, ये सारे कुछ होंगे, सब कुछ होंगे. ऐसे स्टूडेंट से थोड़ा बच करें. आप स्टेट एंड सिंपल, as put a question to me, that he saw me in 1957 and 2019, same. There is not much specific efforts that I have taken, nothing at all, nothing at all. Simply simple and state. Simple and state. जिससे कंसर्न ना हो आपका, don't ask him or her achievement or failure. Don't ask. There is no need. क्योंकि जितना आप दूसरों में इंटरवीन करेंगे, प्रॉब्लम आपको भी आ जाएगी. और जिस दिन आपको एक प्रॉब्लम आएगी, दूसरे को तो आएंगी, थर्ड डे को आपको इतनी प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगी, नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू सॉल्व दोस. मेंटल की प्रॉब्लम होगी, फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगी. सो बेस्ट कोर्स इज, आपको जो काम दिया गया है, आपका जो टारगेट है, जैसे विनीत ने बताया, उसको पूरा करने के लिए स्टेट अपना काम करते रहिए. ज्यादा बनने की जरूरत नहीं है. As I said, स्टेट एंड सिंपल. स्टेट एंड सिंपल. मैं यूनियन का, स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन का राजस्थान यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रेसिडेंट रहा हूँ, वॉलीबॉल टीम का मैं कैप्टन रहा हूँ, एनसीसी में सीनियर अंडर ऑफिसर रहा हूँ, 3 हॉस्टल का जनरल वार्ड मेंबर रहा हूँ. लेकिन ये चीजें कभी मुझे टच नहीं किया, कभी मुझे नहीं किया कि मैं जनरल वार्ड मॉनिटर हूँ, प्रेसिडेंट हूँ. ठीक है, नॉर्मल एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं. सो दिस वन, Vinny, thank you very much, and we hope, as he promised, by end of this year, we will request him to come again and talk to directly. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you.